Oh look, a bluegill. So the bass spawn in cooler water temps than bluegill, right? So bass make their beds, they have their babies. In that time, bluegill will terrorize bass by trying to eat their eggs. That's why the bass have to guard their egg. However, at the tail end of the bass spawn, that's when the bluegill spawn begins. But also you'll see bluegills making beds right next to each other in this almost like honeycomb pattern of like bread plate size beds everywhere. That's how you know you're in the bluegill spawn. What that means for bass fishing is that now that the bluegill have terrorized the bass on their beds, it's the bass's turn to start terrorizing the bluegills. So today I want to talk about different bluegill baits that we can use to catch big bass this time of year. You can use bluegill baits like this. This is a Daiwa Gladical and this is a Depths Bull Shooter. These are both great glide baits that emulate bluegill. You actually want to be fishing these around bluegill beds where bluegill are bedding, but closer to the deeper water where the beds are kind of not being made. The reason for that being is that they're going to pick off your glide bait that's kind of further away from the pack. And the best option when you see bass actively chasing bluegill and hunting them down is this. This is a Megabass Battalion. Now it's shaped like a glide bait, and when you reel this quickly, it dives a little bit and it runs like crazy, almost like a crankbait. Especially when you're seeing bass actively chasing bluegill, you're going to cast this up to where that bass was chasing that bluegill and start reeling this like crazy. And then you're going to kill the action and it'll slow and it'll kind of kick off to one side. And usually when the bass are fired up on bluegill, they'll just come and T-bone this bait. Another great option, if you don't want to throw big glide baits like these, is this. This is the Megabass Sleeper Gill. These are soft body swim bait, and you can fish these just like you would a paddle tail around those beds, and if a bass starts chasing it, speed it up so it's like a running bluegill. And because of this hidden hook, this is a great option to throw on cover where you can't really get these big treble hooked glide baits into. Right now in the post spawn, that means casting these underneath like lay down trees or big trees that are casting shadows on the water, or underwater laydowns or brush piles. You want to be casting these things up until those, because if a bass sees a bluegill just kind of being dumb swimming by it in open water where the bass is ready to eat it, they're going to smoke this thing. And some other great soft plastic options is the Bluegill Bandito bug. It is a crawfish type bait, but because of this round body, it does make a great bluegill imitator, especially if you pull off these side appendages and just leave the tube back like a tail. You can also use something like this. This is a Dole Life SS Gill. It's a nice fat body with the tails made to look like a bluegill, or even the G-Crack Bellows Gill right now that's super popular. Both of these options, or even the Bluegill Bandito bug on a free rig or a Texas rig fished in that cover in those dark spots, is a great way to get bass to think that this is a bluegill that they can just pick up, or an injured bluegill that's another bass already had attacked and it's not doing so well. So if you have a lot of bluegill in your pond or lake that you fish, right now in the post spawn is a wonderful time to be throwing these bluegill patterned, bluegill shaped baits. So what are you waiting for? Get out there.